So this is a video on the present authoring suite, and this is the faults section of the present authoring suite and my review of that and how I found that and what I thought of that and the impact it's had on me. This will be part 4 of a series of videos that I've done on the present authoring and the past authoring suite and the futuring authoring suite, which you can watch. I'll put the link below to those videos. This is definitely the most interesting of the authoring suites because going into it I thought I'd be overcritical of myself, and I did think I'd find this the most easy because I quickly go to criticism when it comes to myself, and I'd rather take the blame. And one of the sections in it that I selected was actually blaming my failures for personal effort when it wasn't working out, and I'd rather blame myself than the surrounding, my external world, and see what I did wrong internally or in the process. So I thought that I would be hypercritical when it came to doing this false present authoring suite, but actually I was really positive. I felt ironically I've come to terms with a lot of my faults maybe over the years, and on doing this I was kind of aware of what I might choose in terms of after you go through lists, I think it's about 5 lists of different faults that you may have possess, and then you have to pick 6 to 9 of those faults you associate with the most and where you think that'll trip you up down the road. So I chose my 7 faults because I didn't pick 9 because I wanted to pick 7 because I want to go into absolute detail in those 7 and just focus on them and not get sidetracked by the idea that I'd be doing 2, 3, 4, and then I'd be contemplating, well, I better pick up the pace on this so that I can work harder on 7, 8, 9. So I wanted to pick 7 and to focus on them in detail, and I was going into it with an open mind and wanting to be as critical as it could possibly be. But what I ended up finding happening was that a lot of those faults of those that I thought were faults, in a lot of ways were virtues, or there are 2 sides to a coin, I mean, on the top of my list was becoming obsessed with an idea, and that was counted as a negative trait. But if you were never obsessed with an idea, then you never had the time to spend on one subject and really look at the components of that subject and spend hours thinking about this idea. So in a way it's not really a fault as much, it is a fault in terms of when you're obsessed with an idea, you get tunnel vision, and then you're not grounded and you don't see what's going around you, and then your ability to listen to other people is probably skewed a bit because you're so immersed in the idea. But I found going through the sections where I had to describe a past story where I felt that fault had fucked me up in the past, and then I had to say what I could have done better, and then in the future tense where I was, what I do to help prevent this fault fucking me up in the future. And I think I had most of my faults had a lot of good things to say, and my faults, I felt like they were coming from a genuine place, and not a place of weakness per se, or cowardice. They were coming from a place of that. I felt as if the faults were very integral to my personality, Like one of the other faults was being detached and cold when somebody's upset, but I did that in the context of someone, they were, someone being upset with me, or cold, that I had done something wrong to them. And I'd feel like a lot of times in that situation that, that you can be someone who's easily manipulated by someone who's very upset and wants to get their way, like as in a relationship or a family member or a close friend. But I'd be very warm, very open to listening to someone who's very upset, that in a situation that doesn't involve me. And I did think that was a negative, but on analysing it further, I realised that it's not so much a negative as a protection mechanism, and actually a self-respect mechanism, I think. But you might say that's a bad quality in me, but I figured on really delving into it that it wasn't actually wholly a negative quality, and that was the flip side of the faults present authoring suite. And I was really diving into these parts of my personality that I thought were really negative, and for the most part I was finding it half and half. Yes, these faults have no doubt tripped me up in the past, but they've also helped me in a way of progressing forward. Like one of the other big faults, I found that I'm very critical of myself and critical of others potentially, but because of that has given me great analytical skills in terms of progressing in the fields that I've been in, because if it wasn't so critical, I was never going to improve. But I mean, there's been circumstances I've been so critical of myself that it's almost self-sabotaging, so that isn't good either. But I've done a lot of work on that over the last few years, so I guess even writing about it even further will prepare me for the next time these faults will come up. And I think that's what's important. Like, as I was writing this, obviously a lot of past stories were popping into my head, but that's when that fault took over and kind of fucked me up, or that's when that fault was in my way, and it gave me an insight into, okay, so when that fault comes up again, I'll have a few ideas there that I'll know the trigger of the fault, so that was quite clear to see from doing it, and then I'll have a quick idea to maybe help me deal with that fault on a conscious level, whether that's changing my perception or perspective of the situation, which will quench that the outburst of that fault. Because I think mainly my faults are tied, they're all tied together in a way, which was interesting. I felt like I wasn't just, I picked 7, so, and then I described them in detail, and it was as if I was trying to, separate each fault and give them their own criticism, but it felt like all the faults were very linked, because I'm obsessed with an idea, that makes me very critical, because so they're all interrelated, and you could say that on doing the present authoring suite in terms of the virtues, they are all interlinked as well. And after I finished the faults today, I read both the present and my virtues and my faults side by side, just to hear them out. So almost like they're facts to myself. Like, these are your virtues, Fergus, and these are your faults. And just to hear myself say it, like there's no wishy-washy element of the type of person that I am. So I found that very helpful and very interesting. And on finishing, so now I've finished all the 4 sections of the authoring suite, and I felt like it's been quite the journey, you know. It feels like a long time ago since I started the past authoring suite, and it's very akin to writing a dissertation, I think. It's like writing a dissertation on yourself and the various aspects of yourself, which is interesting because a few weeks ago I had the idea, you know, you'll go to college and you'll do a 4-year degree, and you might do a master's or whatever, and you write a dissertation at the end of a 4-year degree on somebody you don't really know that well, on a subject you're not very clear on, until obviously you do the dissertation and you know a lot about the subject and you're more clear on the subject, and you hopefully come up with an idea about the subject or a new slant on the subject, well, especially in the arts anyways. But you never do a dissertation on yourself, and this is like the self-authoring suite is like doing it. It gives you the format of doing a dissertation on yourself, and yeah, I think it's been a very transforming experience for me, and that's why I think I've had to take such big breaks in between doing each section. Not because I'm lazy or I found it that traumatizing, but I wanted it to soak in, and I feel like I've given it that space to soak in over the last while. And it's funny that, you know, just writing like that can somehow change you a lot, and I think it has. Yeah. Anyways, I hope this was helpful, and hopefully I'll make another video again in months after what it's been like after the finishing the self-authoring suite experience. And thanks for watching.